Hi everyone, in this video I want to show a game between Deac Bogdan-Daniel, youngest grandmaster from Romania, and Solomon Kenny, the only grandmaster from South Africa. The game was played in Tradewise Gibraltar Chess Tournament 2018 round 4. Let's see the game. White started with e4 and c5, Sicilian opening knight to f3, developing towards the center, preparing d4 and recapture with the knight. d6, d4, c takes on d4, knight takes on d4, knight to f6, attacking the pawn, and knight to c3, defending. a6, we have the knight of variation. h4, this is a pawn move. As we know, in an opening, pawn moves are good only if they help us to develop a piece. In this case, the rook can enter the game via h3, looking to attack along the third rank. e5, striking in the center, attacking the knight. There is a rule saying that when you attack on a flank, you need to strike in the center. Knight to b3, bishop to e6, another developing move. f4, white is aggressive and he's pushing another pawn, attacking the center, threatening to push f5. Black took on f4 and bishop takes on f4. Black has an isolated pawn on d6. The bishop was developed and black does the same with knight to c6. Queen to d2, preparing long castle, d5, attacking the center and getting rid of his weak pawn. White king is safe and black should continue the development of his darker bishop on b4, the most forward square in white camp. But in the game he pushed d4, moving the same piece in an opening, attacking the knight, and this pawn is free to take, and white took it with the knight. Queen takes on d4, queen takes on d4, queens are exchanged, knight takes on d4, rook takes on d4. In this position, white is a pawn up. He has a pawn majority on the queen side and an isolated pawn on e4. If black managed to take this pawn, he will have a pawn majority on the king side. Black developed his bishop to c5, attacking the rook, and the rook goes to d3. Black king is saved, and with this move, black finishes opening. King is safe, rooks are connected, and all other minor pieces are developed. Bishop to e2, white finishes opening as well, and here both players should start an attack on opponent weaknesses. If attacking moves are not working, they should improve their piece position. An attacking move for black would be bishop to c4, attacking the rook, but in the game black played knight to g4, threatening to fork the rooks and looking to block the pawn with knight to e5 in the future. For the moment this is not possible. Rook to f1, defending against knight to f2. Black has no attacking moves, so he can improve his rook position. So we have rook f to e8, bringing the rook on an open file, looking at e4 pawn. White continues with bishop to e3, defending e4 pawn one more time. We can notice that both rooks are on the same diagonal, and in the future the light square bishop might come to c4, attacking both rooks. For the moment this is not possible because the bishop is defending the knight. f6, controlling e5, allowing the knight to come to e5, attack the rook and the bishop. Knight to d5, an attacking move, threatening to fork the rooks. If black will take, will help white to improve his pawn structure. Also, the knight on this position blocks the bishop to come to c4. Knight to e5, attacking the rook and the bishop, and white is forced to give his bishop. F takes on e5, knight to c7, forking the rooks, bishop to c4, attacking both rooks, rook f to d1, bishop takes on d3, rook takes on d3, rook a to c8, attacking the knight, and the knight takes the rook. In this position, black has a backward pawn on b7, an isolated pawn on e5. A good preventing move for white would be c3, controlling d4 square, not allowing the bishop to come and defend the pawn. Next, white can attack the e5 pawn with the rook. In the game, white played a4, trying to block pawns from the queen side by pushing it forward to a5. But black played a5, rook to d5, attacking the bishop, b6, defending, c3, controlling d4 and b4, g6, controlling f5 and h 5 squares. In an endgame, the king is a valuable piece that can help in the attack, and white started to bring his king into the center with king to c2. Bishop to f2, attacking h4, h5, g takes on h5, and bishop takes on h5, attacking the rook. Rook to e7, rook to d6, putting pressure on the pawn from b6. King to g7. White has to follow one of the two plans in an endgame: attack opponent's weak pawns or push his best pawns. Black in this position has three weak pawns, the one from b6, e5 and h7. But for the moment these weaknesses are well defended. That's why white can try to use his pawn majority from the queen side and create a pass pawn. In doing this, white king has to help. In the game, white played bishop to g4, wants to attack a7 pawn with bishop to f5, but his pawn is well protected for the moment. King to f7, bishop to f5, attacking the pawn, defending, and g4. This pawn is protected by the bishop. Rook to b7, black is waiting. King to d3, white improves his king position, and bishop to h4. The bishop leaves the defense of b6 pawn. Another way for black was to put the bishop c5, attacking the rook. King to c4, coming closer to b6 or e5. Bishop to g5, king to b5, attacking b6 one more time. Bishop to e3, defending. Rook to e6, and black cannot defend both pawns. King to f7, rook takes on e5, and white has a pass pawn on the e file. King to f6, rook to d5, freeing e5 square for the pawn to go forward. h6. The drawback of this move is that black did not prevented white plan to push the pawn. He should have played rook to e7, e5 check, king to e7, and king to c6, attacking the rook. Rook to a7, rook to d3, attacking the bishop, bishop to c1, which is a big mistake. The drawback of this move is that the bishop is no longer defending b6, and white took the pawn in the game. King takes on b6, rook to b8, king to b7, attacking the rook again. After this move, black resigned. A possible continuation would be rook to e4, b4, a takes on b4, c takes on b4, and white has three pass pawns in this position. Black cannot prevent white from pushing them, so white is winning in this position. So this was the game between Deac Bogdan-Daniel and Solomon Kenny. I hope that you know something from this game. Please watch other games from my channel, and if you like this video, click the like button and subscribe. See you soon. Bye.